In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Relationships are really very, very important in the lives of the human being. We people are social animals. A very interesting research was conducted in the USA regarding the relationships and its impact upon the lives of the human being. Dear friends, all of us want to lead a happy life, all of us want to lead a successful life. There is no one on earth who don't want to become either happy or a successful person. And a kind of a connection was discovered which is astonishingly important. A kind of connection was discovered between the relationships and the good life, the desirable life of a human being. And it is really, really, really very interesting to know for each and every one of us, because there is a deepest relationship. So I was saying that a kind of research was conducted in the USA about the people who led a very happy and a very successful life. Several things were discovered amongst the in the lives of those people. Obviously, all of these things are not going to be discussed and debated upon in our today's talk. But we are going to discuss about one thing that is called the relationship. These were the people who were very good, very successful at making and continuing the relationships, particularly the older one. They valued the new relationships as well, but they never forget the older relationships. And it was their older relationships actually, the continuity and the pleasantness in that particular the relationship, which played a pivotal role, which became something decisive in making their life as a good one, as a pleasant one, as a successful one. So what is the trouble as far today's life is concerned? Do we follow this principle? Do we imitate those people who became a kind of role model as far this research is concerned? The research about the happy and the successful people, dear friends and fellows in Pakistan and abroad, overwhelming majority of the people today, overwhelming majority of the people today, they people are of the view, if at all a friend, if an acquaintance is not of is not benefiting you materially, so there is no use of continuing it. So this is a kind of thinking which has prevailed in a materialistic world. Also, I think this is very very, very unfortunate, and this should not be, I think so, carried on, not for the sake of other people, but for the sake of our own good life. Every one of us want to lead a good and happier life. There is no doubt in it, there is no doubt in it. But dear friends and fellows in Pakistan, where certain other things are needed, there it is not possible without making and without continuing the good relationship. What sort of things are, I think so, what sort of things must be considered while making and while carrying on the relationships? If at all somebody is while if at all we want to break a relationship somewhere else, if at all we are unwilling, if at all, how to decide actually which relationship should be continued and which relationship could be abandoned, and somehow could be discontinued as well. Dear friends, if at all somebody has tried to cheat you, defraud you, I think this is a very valid relationship to minimize this relationship, either to even end it or to at least minimize it. Or if at all somebody out of jealousy is hurting your benefit, is somehow working against your reputation in the society, again this is a very severe case, which provides a very valid reason to end a relationship or to contain it, to minimize it. And then there are some of the people who are unwilling to help us, not even a very little bit of it, when we are in the need. And so these things also it applies upon us as well. We should never ever try to cheat anybody, never ever try to cheat a friend, because if I think this is something which is almost unforgivable, dear friends. And then out of jealousy or any other motive, I think we don't have any right to hurt the reputation of each and everyone else. Not as for the friends are concerned, as for the relationships are concerned, it is, I think we are duty bound not to hurt their reputation at all. But if at all we can easily contribute something, I think there is nothing wrong in doing that. And not only this thing, last but not the least, if at all somebody needs our help and we can do it very easily, I think we shouldn't budge from it. We shouldn't be shirking from it. Rather we should make ourselves available, that okay, I'm available to help here. But if at all a bigger sacrifice is needed, I think we can reconsider it. It is not something which we can do frequently. It is not something which we can do with everyone else. It is not something which we can carry on every occasion. But as for the trivial sacrifices are concerned, I think we must be ready to make it, because we will not be able to make the relationship without it, and we will not be able to carry it on. As for the finding of that particular research is concerned, I was talking about, which was recently conducted in the USA, I think it is a kind of eye opener for all the people who valued everything else in the material scale, in the material terms. Money is important, and other all the other things, the worldly interests are important. I'm not saying that those things are unimportant, but what if at all we do succeed in accumulating so much of the money, but still we are unhappy and still we are dissatisfied, and our life is not a good one. It cannot be called a good life by the people, by the researcher, by the learned people in the society. And the final thing is, if at all we ourselves are dissatisfied with the kind of life we are living, I think we need to reconsider what sort of what sort of things are we carrying on, and what kind of values either we have made or we are observing. I think so that if at all we want to lead a good life, if at all we want to lead a happier life, it will never ever be able to we will never ever be able to do that. We shalln't be in a position to continue. We shalln't be in a position to continue the good and the happier life, unless and until we do understand the value of the relationships, unless and until we do understand, unless and until we do know how important it is and how to carry it on. I think so that everything else demands time. Everything else demands certain amount of energy, even money. Everything else demand even a bit of sacrifices to make. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve anything else at all which is worthwhile. As for the relationships are concerned, these are something really worthwhile, and which makes our life really good. And I think so we must be ready to understand how to make the relationships and how to carry it on successfully, particularly where there is no monetary interest involved. I think so attaching, if at all we are expecting that these relationships should definitely give us something in the monetary terms, in the material benefits, I think this is not fair. And a relationship with a person of this mindset will not be able to make and to carry on the good relationships. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair.